Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
7:06 here on O'Connor and Company this Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us. We are locked and loaded for the rest of the show here. At 8:05, KT McFarland will be here. And 8:35, Matt Walsh, he's in D.C. to promote his new movie, Am I Racist? It's Larry O'Connor with Mercedes Schlapp. Good morning, Mercedes.
Good morning, Larry. I can't believe it's 7 o'clock already.
No, I don't know
You've just been working hard.
I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but Sunday morning, I'm going to do early mass, and then I'm going to do the Travis Manion 5K run.
Oh, neat!
In Fairfax
That's
County for that great foundation. And by the way,
Yes.
I'm going to be doing it with a 40-pound rucksack, and quite possibly I'll be doing it with a hangover because Kurt Schlichter's in town this weekend.
Oh, you're kidding.
And I've got
He's
a
in
Navy
town this
football
week?
game on Saturday. And so, I mean, I don't know what kind of shape I'm going to be in. That's why I'm going to mass first. But I won't be alone.
Honey, I don't think God's going to save you with this one, okay? You're setting yourself up for failure. That's kind of the reality of life.
His grace surpasses all other concerns as long as I repent.
Amen.
I won't be alone out there. There will be hundreds, if not thousands, of others supporting the Travis Manion Foundation. And, of course, the incredible Mary Katharine Ham, who is sort of the, she's the grand poobah of this run out in Fairfax. She's, of course, an Outkick columnist, Fox News contributor, and friend of this program since she used to co-host it many, many moons ago. Good morning, Mary Katharine.
Hello to both of you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad you've made your 9/11 Heroes run just so much more challenging for yourself, because it's always about pushing yourself in honor of those who went before us.
That is true. And to do I just want to be clear, the 40-pound rucksack means that I don't have to run it. I will be walking it, but at a very fast clip. I'm hoping to average about 15 minutes a mile with the 40 pounds.
I love it. I'm excited for you. We still have slots, by the way, 911heroesrun.com. You can sign up and join us on Sunday morning. It's really a beautiful run. The weather's shaping up pretty good. We're excited about it. General John Kelly will be joining us this year on the run. So it's a good crew. The Travis Manion Foundation is just full of the most wonderful people, as you know, from having done events with us in the past. And even if you're hungover, you will have a wonderful time.
That's right. In fact, I may even have a Bloody Mary as I go. MK, I'd love for you to comment on where we are right now in this election. We got 50 days, basically. Early voting starts tomorrow in Virginia. And, of course, when Donald Trump is in the mix, it's always going to be historic. But this election feels different to me than the last two, just in terms of where he is right now and the fact that he had the confidence to go do Gutfeld last night.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to tell where we are because obviously it's a very stark choice here. Even if you just look at the difference in exposure to media and willingness to take questions, which is important to me as a member of the media. Sorry, everyone. I do think it's important for leaders to take questions and be challenged. The rest of the media does not think that about one side of the aisle, but they're happy to do it to Trump. At any rate, there's a very stark choice here. The question to me is how much reality and the reality on the ground runs up against Kamala's rhetoric. And Trump's job is largely to make people recognize reality versus her rhetoric, because people really are hurting on the ground. They really do feel inflation. They really do have lower expectations for their lives and their children's lives than they did recently. They really do experience bursts in crime, and they are overwhelmed in some of these small towns by influxes of immigrants that they have allowed to come over. These are all real things that happen to real people. And Kamala's line is just, that doesn't happen.
Right. Well, I mean, what are you talking about? It's, you tweeted this out. When my kids are asking me what's for dinner, you say, I come from a middle-class family. I mean, that's Kamala's answer every night, or every time she's doing an interview. It's I come from a middle-class family. We saw Governor Tim Walz, same thing. We're middle-class folks. It's just not selling. So, I mean, but it's still so tight when you're looking at all these polls. It's like in the margins. Like sometimes Harris is up, sometimes Trump is up. What is the reality? How can Trump make this into a victory?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unsatisfying answer, but we're a 45-45 country, and so this is going to happen on the margins. But I think what Trump is doing is overseeing, as you've seen for several elections, a realignment of sorts, because the Democrats have become quite obviously the party of the very, very rich. of cultural elites. And then there's a bunch of working class voters who are looking to Trump for support. And then they get sort of made fun of by the cultural elites for turning to this figure. But you can see it even in the recent NAACP poll, where black men under 50 are looking to Trump at a rate of, I want to say, like 25 to 28%. If that number holds, that's extremely bad for their coalition all over this country. So some of what I think Trump is doing to win is simply not mocking working class male voters. He's done outreach, I think, on I noticed he has a Twitch streaming channel the other day. He's been on with streamers, he's been on with podcasters, reaching these demographics that are open to him. But the thing about these demographics is that they're harder to get to vote than suburban women, right? So that's the trick. How do you get them through the pipeline and actually voting?
This realignment is fascinating that you just mentioned, because on the very same day that Kamala Harris did not get an endorsement from the Teamsters, her campaign bragged about the fact that she's been endorsed by 100 Republican former national security officials and Dick Cheney. So it's like, yeah, we didn't get the Teamsters, but we got these guys. And as a millennial, where you sort of came of age politically during the War on Terror and the Bush-Cheney years, and now you see this sort of strange reality. What to make of this? And I'm curious, just personally, where do you find your bearings here politically?
Yeah, I mean, talk about a realignment, right?
Yeah.
All of my college buddies are now pro Dick Cheney.
Yeah, the ones who would call you a fascist when you were pro Dick Cheney.
Exactly. I think my bearings are I am not as populist as the Trump style of the GOP, right? I have different economic views on some things. Not a huge fan of tariffs. However, I can look at these two figures and see Kamala Harris and be like, wow, that is deeply unimpressive, and she's hiding a bunch of views that are anathema to everything I believe. And I think the world would be probably marginally, if not a lot, safer with the instincts of Donald Trump at the helm instead of the instincts of Kamala Harris, of which I find them appalling. So you kind of look at the two, and this is what undecided voters are doing, right? A lot of the left just goes, have you seen the signs that say Harris Walls, obviously?
Yeah.
That is not a pitch that's going to appeal to undecided voters, because you're discounting the fact that people could have a tough time deciding.
That's right.
And then you can't reach those people.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a real
I got to
error.
ask you, women voters going to be critical in this election? They usually are. And and how can what does President Trump need to do to win over the women voters? I do think, there is this sense of Kamala being the first woman president. They might not know her specific economic plans, i.e. price controls, i.e. socialist policies. But really, what is it going to take? Because we see this propaganda machine. We see the constant ads coming out of Kamala Harris, basically saying that Trump is anti-woman.
Right. I think really the answer for someone like me, who I think I'm normie adjacent because I actually grocery shop and things, and drive myself in a car, unlike much of the Democratic coalition leadership. Yeah. But I think talking about your quality of life is what matters. That's what people want. They want a high quality of life in this country. We have a lot of prosperity, even when we're not doing our best. But people are hurting. They're really hurting, and women often control the purse strings in their homes. They often do the budgeting. So I think that, number one, look, Roe v. Wade is difficult to talk about. Abortion is difficult to talk about as an issue, but I think he's kind of hit this moderate position, which doesn't make all pro-lifers happy, I understand, but it can speak to suburban women who say, I don't know, is this guy scary on this issue, quote unquote, to me? Allowing for exceptions, saying that the states will work it out is not the worst message in the world for that segment.
911heroesrun.com. 911heroesrun.com. That will direct you to the race, the 5K, this Sunday in Fairfax County. Mary Kevin Ham will be there with her amazing family. I'll be there with 40 pounds on my back, and we hope to see you there too. MK, always great to talk with you, my friend.
So excited to see you this weekend.
It is 7. Bring the Bloody Marys. It's 7.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
For the over dozen years that I've been here on WMAL, we've seen story after story after story about dysfunction in the District of Columbia's emergency response system, either at the 911 call center, the 911 call center, or with EMTs and broken down ambulances. I mean, we've had a roller coaster here for these over a past decade, and apparently they still are having problems. According to the reporting of Felicia Ashley over at WJLA Channel 7 News, the 911 call center currently is having a crisis in staffing. And even though the management tries to bribe people to just come in and fulfill their basic standard shifts, like come in and do your full shift and we'll give you extra money, they're still not getting people to do it.
29 shifts did not hit its goal. Mayor Muriel Bowser told 7 News she's focused on getting people hired at OUC.
We have thousands of people signed up for our public safety job fair. DC is hiring, and we're looking for great people who want to help us keep DC safe.
7 News asked OUC how many people it gave the $800 bonus to. It said it does not have that number.
Yeah, I bet they don't. An $800 bonus just to show up for your scheduled shift, and they still had 29 shifts that didn't get it done. This is complete and total dysfunction, and I'm sorry. The mayor of D.C. saying, well, we did a job fair, that's not going to cut it. Again, our government has basic functions here at the local level, and one of those basic functions is if you have an emergency and you need somebody there to help you, you call 911 and there's somebody there to handle it, and they can't even get that right, Mercedes.
Gosh, but this is happening in all these major cities. I mean, it is absolutely insane. And you get to the point that you're like, who are you going to call, basically, if you can't get through on 911 and you don't have the workers there to just get it done? I mean, it just shows also the fact that how are they going to find these competent workers, people willing to get out there and not have to rely on like government pay handouts to survive, basically.
Yeah, this is just another example of the DC government. This is a one-party rule, as you said. I mean, this is. Everyone says, "Oh, there's problems on all sides." No, this is one side. Republicans literally have no voice in the way this city is run, and from the handling of the police department to the handling of crime issues to fixing streets, they can do one thing well here in the District of Columbia, and that's speed cameras.
And spend money.
They're really good at speed cameras. They spend money. Well, yeah, and spending money. Yeah. Muriel Bowser was somehow able to marshal resources to refurbish the Black Lives Matter mural painted on the street over by Lafayette Square. That she was able to engineer and get done, but she can't staff the emergency call center if somebody is bleeding out because of a gunshot wound that happened because she defunded the police.
No, look. It's outrageous. This is what you're seeing. And then you're seeing, crime is up in these cities. You're seeing the fact that, as you were saying, like the police are stressed out because they don't have enough resources. I mean, where's the recruitment process? How is this working? But it's also trying to get like competent staff. I mean, that's part of the issue too. Basic competence
that they can't do. And this is basic because, again, I want to reiterate, this story is they offered an $800 bonus just for an employee to show up to perform their basic scheduled function, and they still had 29 shifts that didn't come through. It's absolute, complete, and total dysfunction in the D.C. government, and yet the voters continue to reward the people who have broken this city. It's 7:21.
Making sense of your world.
Talk radio is where I get all of my information.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Making sense of the news. Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:37. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here on this busy Thursday morning. It's already been busy. If you've missed any of it, you've missed Chris DeGaulle, radio host out of Philadelphia. You missed Katie Gorka. You just missed Mary Catherine Ham. But fear not. You can download our podcast and never miss a thing. Just subscribe wherever you like to listen to your podcast. Also, coming up here, we've got KT McFarland at 8:05, and then at 8:35, Matt Walsh, who's in town with his brand new movie, Am I Racist? And now all of those are just sort of supporting players because the real star this morning, of course, is Mercedes Schlapp. Good morning, Mercedes.
Oh, that is so kind. But no, that is not the case, Larry. You are the star because I go around. Yesterday, I was at this event it was like a musical theater event for the high school students.
Yeah.
And this sweet woman comes up to me, sweet Tess, and she goes, "Are you Mercedes Schlapp?" She goes, "I listen to Larry. I've been a long time listener of Larry at WMAL. I'm serious. I should be an ambassador for you, Chris Plant, and WMAL. I seriously, like, I should wear a pin that says, 'Do you like WMAL? Ask me,' because it's all about Larry and it's all about Chris Plant, and so I'm kind of just the sidekick.
And Vincent, of
I really
course,
am
Vince
kind of the
Cullinane.
sidekick.
And well, God bless you, Tess. And I love that you ran into a fan of Larry O'Connor at a musical
Yeah, but they go
theater
really
thing.
quietly. They're like,
of course they do.
I support Trump,
especially in the
That's what I'm
Jazz Hands United conference you were at there. That's very exciting. All right. Let's get right to this. I love this story.
Okay.
Apparently, Kamala Harris is channeling her inner Selena right now because she's trying to reach out to Latina voters. Mercedes, you are doing reach out to Latina voters, I know, in the Commonwealth and trying to really build that coalition there as a second-generation Cuban American. Well, I don't know if you knew this, but Kamala Harris also has roots in the Latin community. We've already heard her try out accents in Detroit and in Georgia and before the Congressional Black Caucus. But yesterday she was giving a speech before the Congressional Latino Caucus. And, well, listen to what happened.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Good afternoon. Please have a seat. Please have a seat. Oh, it's good to see so many friends. I love you back.
Hold on.
She sounds like a Puerto Rican. I love you back.
What is that? It's like she's going to be in the bus and truck of Hamilton. What is this? I'm sorry. Is she like one of the... She's doing West Side Story. That's what it is. She's
there's
like
the other
Anita.
one that came out. Yes.
Hold on.
She does it.
I love you back.
I love you back, man. Oh, say hello to my little friend.
Oh, hello. I'm Latina. I'm Latinx.
Oh,
Puerto
she's
Rican.
so phony.
It's so bad. I mean, it goes from bad. This is why they just have to keep her locked down for the next 50 days. I was thinking about this. If I were the Trump campaign, I would challenge Kamala Harris to do an interview every single day. Say, okay, for your one interview, I'll do 3 interviews. Bring it on. Because when she's in these unscripted moments, now this was a speech, like, people listen to her and are just like, cringe. I mean, it is worse than we thought.
Hold on. Let's do a review here. Okay, so this is yesterday.
I love you back.
I love you back, man. Ah, si se puede. She's like the sassy Latina on Sesame Street, right? The neighbor woman. All right, so that was her yesterday before the Latina Caucus. And then in Detroit last month.
You better thank a union member.
You better thank a union member.
5-day work week. You better thank a union member.
All right, so that was Detroit. And then earlier in August, I believe this was in Georgia.
Hold on. You know what? Here, hold on. Here's the thing. The courts are going to handle that. We're going to beat them in November.
Oh, no, that was also in Detroit. By the way, just so you know, as a child of Detroit, that's not how people in Detroit talk. Okay? That's this if you remember Beverly Hills Cop, this is how people in Detroit talk.
What the hell you need $1,000 for?
Little flash money?
Flash money? Well, let's see here. $2,000 for a suit, $200 for a tie, a requisition order for a Ferrari. I don't want to see any more of these blue slips.
Hold on. You know what? Here, hold on. Here's the thing. The courts are going to handle that. We're going to beat them in November.
Yeah, she's not doing it right.
Yeah, that's right, honey.
She's just not doing it right.
Latinx.
All right, so that's her Detroit voice. Again, this is her Latina voice.
I love you back.
Can I just say, Peter Ducey actually, God bless that man. Imagine being the only man in the room and doing what he's doing. He has such courage. And he actually.
Well, James Rosen does a great job.
That's
too.
true. James Rosen does a great job. The problem is he's never called on.
That is true.
And that's obviously not James's fault, and we lament that, and we're angry about it. But here's Peter specifically asking Karine Jean-Pierre about the accent.
Since when does the vice president have what sounds like a southern accent?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I mean, this is...
She was talking about unions in Detroit using one tone of voice.
Is this something that you
think... Same line...
Okay, Peter.
That she used the same line in Pittsburgh, and it sounded like she at least had some kind of a southern drawl.
I mean, do you hear the...
I just love the fact that he even asked the question. And that was before yesterday.
I love you back.
I love you back. Listen, will this appeal to Hispanic voters? You're out there talking to them. Is this what they're looking for? Should Trump try this?
There was an interesting kind of short interview between John King from CNN with some actually Hispanic men in Nevada. And they are, look, it's about the economy.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It is people are stressed out. And when you're looking at the Latino community, they're being impacted. I mean, we all are being impacted tremendously by the Harris inflation. It's why CPAC, united with Bienvenidos, launched Latinas for Freedom. And part of this is this message of saying, Kamala's economic plan is a socialist plan. We left the socialist countries to come here to the U.S. to live the American dream and raise our children freely. And yet, now it's under threat.
Yeah.
We're in a very dangerous position right now.
It's the message that's important, not what fake accent you use to deliver it.
I love you back.
744. I want to.
Later this morning on the Chris Plant Show, Apple announces the release of their new iPhone 16. Think it'll go over with a thud in Beirut. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
So say it with me. Si se puede. The future is ours. Thank you.
I love you back.
It's hard to keep track of the pandering here from the Democrats. It's yes.
Well, I got to tell you, it's this issue. It's this obsession with the left and identity politics. We've seen this from the days of Hillary Clinton till now, and I would say even President Barack Obama. I mean, their obsession with putting us into buckets.
Right.
Larry, you're the white dude, but you wouldn't be the white dude.
It's putting
for
people in
Harris.
buckets, if I may.
Yeah.
It's putting people in buckets and then jumping into that bucket, saying, "I'm one of you. I'm one of you."
I'm one of
and then
you.
immediately jumping into the other. I'm one of you too. I'm one of you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and she did grow up in California and Quebec. I mean, give me a break. Seriously.
She grew up in California and Quebec, and yet when she's in Georgia.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
And then when she's in Detroit.
Hold on. You know what? Here, hold on. Here's the thing. The courts are going to handle that. We're going to beat them in November.
We're going to beat them in November.
But here's the best part. I mean, she was in Quebec. She grew up in Quebec. That means she speaks Quebecois. So the one time it may have been genuine is when she was in France.
We campaign with the plan. Uppercase T, uppercase P. The plan. We're expected to defend the plan.
We got to defend the plan.
Le plan.
Yes. It sounds like she just went to the restroom over at Medium Rare, the restaurant in Tenleytown. They play French lessons while you're going.
Le plan. I know.
To the potty.
It's way. It's just insane.
We are having fun with this though, Mercedes. But this does actually speak to a larger issue. She's got a super sore spot here, a blind spot, and it is a vulnerability that when you ask me, she's not genuine. People don't believe her. And even people who may not like Donald Trump or he rubs them the wrong way, at least he's genuine, right? He doesn't BS you.
There's two parts of this, right? It's being unrelatable, number one. But number two, what was interesting with that, the National Association of Black Journalists, that interview to me was fascinating because she should be able to it should be a slam dunk for her. Mm-hmm. She was a disaster because she could not talk about the specific plans when it came to the economy. And I got to tell you, even those at CNN, the enemy, they basically said it. They're like, she does not give specifics. It's always the same talking points. It's always, I'm come from the middle class. I grew up with my parents in the middle class. And it's like, dude, we get it. But what are you going to do to solve the inflation problem? What are you going to do about the cost of affordability? And her plans, when she does talk a little bit about them, they don't add up. And so I think she fails tremendously in being able to explain to the American people and provide the vision of how I'm going to improve the economy. And plus, she does have the record, the Biden-Harris record of this economy, which she owns. There's no way of separating herself from Joe Biden.
There's another danger that she has here. You're 100% right, of course, Mercedes. This identity politics thing that you nailed and putting people in buckets and then trying to jump into that bucket saying, I'm one of you. In front of the House Latina caucus, not only did she put on this bizarre fake, J-Lo thing.
I love you back.
I love you back. But she also, I want to quote her here. Listen to what she said, speaking to the Latino caucus. I would often see how my mother was treated. She was a 5-foot-tall brown woman with an accent, and I would see how the world would sometimes treat her. In other words, saying to this Hispanic audience, listen, I grew up with an Indian mother. She had brown skin. She had an accent. It's just like your life. And the fact of the matter is, it's not just like her life. And I think this boomerangs when she tries to glom on to an identity grip. But listen, there is such a thing as a lived experience. And if you live in this country with Latino heritage, you do have a very specific story that you've grown up with. And it's not the same to just say, oh, yeah, I know what you're going through. No, she doesn't have an inkling of what they're going through.
Well, and, and talking with Katie Gorka, which I've had this great opportunity to really work with her on this Latino outreach piece in Virginia. I got to tell you something, Larry. We talk about this all the time. I tell, in sharing with them, I'm like, look, you can be a gringo like Larry O'Connor. And let's say Larry O'Connor is going to go run for office and I'd be your campaign manager. By the way, you would win.
100%.
I think I would be like, Larry, we're going to go to the Hispanic churches and you're going to go talk to them. Republicans for a long time have, been like, well, I'm not Hispanic, so send the Hispanic.
Right.
No. You have to say, I am here, I am listening, I care, and you have to understand that our policies and our values match up, and we have to do a better job of doing that. And so I think that, you've seen a lot of these Republicans that have been a little like, oh, I don't know, I send the Hispanic surrogate in. I'm like, no, you show up.
That's right.
You're the candidate if you want to win.
Yeah. Vamos a la iglesia, mi corazón.
Vamos a ganar. Viva la libertad, carajo.
7:53.